Welcome back to Learn JavaScript through Google Sheets. Today we're going to be talking about conditionals. So what are conditionals? Conditional statements control behavior in JavaScript and determine whether or not pieces of code can run. In simple terms, if this condition is met, do this. Conditionals to me are like one of the most important aspects of coding because this is what enables you to automate a lot of decision making. Like, think of all the decisions in your life that you do essentially where you're saying like, if this happens, then I'll do this. The most basic example is when you're driving a car. If there's a red light, you stop. If there's a green light, you go. Once you add conditionals to your code, you can essentially embed those kind of decision-making processes into it, which essentially allows you to automate yourself out of those things. So that's just high level. Let's go into AppScript and see how this looks. Okay, here we are in our AppScript environment. And I created a new sheet just called conditionals.js, gave us this basic function, my function. So the way you write a conditional statement is pretty simple. You just do if, parentheses, and then inside here we put condition, and then you do open and close curly braces, and then that's it. So right here, this condition, what's important about this is the way if runs is whatever that condition is, it has to be true. So let's actually go up here. So I'm just going to say let condition equal true. Then I'm going to go in here, put condition, and then I'm just going to do console.log condition is true. So we'll save that and we'll give it a run. So here we go, we get in our execution log, condition is true. So now you might be wondering, okay, what happens if the condition is false? So what you do there is you put else, open and close curly braces, and then let's just put console.log condition is not true. And we'll just do a frowny face. So let's just change this up here. And we'll run again. Perfect. So sometimes what you'll do actually is you actually do a little bit of math inside these parentheses. You don't always have to pass in a variable there. So what you can do, a lot of times you can essentially say, let's just do this. Let's say let A equal 5, and we're going to let B equal 10. So what I want to say is if A is greater than B, if this is true, we're going to console.log is true. If it's not true, we're going to do condition is not true. So it's based off the math, since we can see the variables here, we know that A is not greater than B. So we're expecting this down here. So let's just see if that happens. Perfect. So condition is not true. So the next thing we're going to look at is sometimes everything's not just black and white. It's not either this or that. Sometimes it's multiple. So the way that you can do that in JavaScript is actually you get another thing here, and it's called else if. So within this, then you can enter another condition. So we could say if A is greater than B, condition is true. What we could also say is if A, we're going to do double equals. If A is equal to 5, then we're going to console.log A is equal to 5. So the reason you do double equals is because if you just did a regular equals, that's essentially going to say A is equal to 5, which isn't what we want to do. We want to do a comparison. So let's just run this. So what we get is A is equal to 5. So what happens in here is it comes through, it wants to see, is this first condition met? The answer is no, so then it goes to the next one. And then because it is met, it essentially breaks out of that statement, and then console logs this. It does not also do this one below. Okay. And then you can also, with these things, you can keep stringing along more else ifs if you want, depending on how like complex the decision is. You just keep going down the line doing that. So one other example I want to show. This one, again, I don't use this one all the time, but it is good to know it exists. So if you ever are reading documentation, you see it. So this one's called the ternary operator. So the way you write this one out, so I'm going to say let output equal. So what I'm going to do is condition. So that's the same variable up here. You do a question mark. It is true. So what comes after the question mark is this is what will be returned if the condition is true. So if this is true. Then you put a colon and then you say is, and I'm going to say is false. So what I can do here is I can console.log output. And then I'm just going to comment this out. Let's move this real quick. Sorry for that. So we've got this here. So let's give this a run and see what we see. So we get is false. Reason that is because we have condition here. It's pointing to this variable. This is false. So that means we don't do this one, and then we do the one following the colon. So and then if this was true, we will see it is true. All right. Well, that's all I have for conditional statements. There's a lot more that we can do with that, but I'm going to save that to once we start interacting with data in our Google Sheets. I wanted to keep these intro videos very quick and very basic. I didn't want to get too bogged down in the semantics of JavaScript. But now, starting in our next lesson, we're actually going to start messing around with Google Sheets and interacting with the data there. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.